Will the members of the Senate please report to the Senate floor? Members of the Senate, please report to the Senate floor. Yes.
I'll tell you about that.
Okay. Members, please report to the Senate floor. Will the clerk please call, will the Senate Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested, Alquist, Ashburn, Benoit, Calderon, Cedillo, Cogdill, Corbett, Correa, Cox, Denham, DeSaulnier, Ducheney, Dutton, Flores, Hancock, Harmon, Hollingsworth, Huff, Kehoe, Leno, Liu, Lowenthal, Maldonado, Negrete McLeod, Oropesa, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Romero, Runner, Smidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, Weiland, Yee.
Members, we are lacking a quorum. Will the sergeants please lock the doors and bring in the absent members? We are awaiting a quorum. Members of the Senate, please report to the Senate floor. Will the members of the Senate please report to the Senate floor? Secretary, please call the roll to establish quorum.
Honested, Alquist, Ashburn, Benoit, Calderon, Cedillo, Cogdill, Corbett, Correa, Cox, Denham, DeSaulnier, DeChaney, Dutton, Flores, Hancock, Harmon, Hollingsworth, Huff, Kehoe, Leno, Liu, Lowenthal, Maldonado, Negrete McLeod, Oropesa, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Romero, Runner, Semidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, Weiland, Yee. Mr. President.
Members, a quorum is now present. Senator Padilla, you're recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the author, request to move AB 146 to the inactive file.
Without objection. Senator Hollingsworth.
A Republican caucus in the coffee shop, very quickly.
The minority leaders asked for Republican caucus.
Let them know he just called for
In the
caucus in the
Republican caucus room. Floor. Members who have messages from the Assembly, will the Secretary please read?
Mr. President, I am directing to inform your honorable body that the Assembly amended and on this day passed, as amended, Senate Bill 64, Senate Bill 74, and Senate Bill 80, and respectfully request your honorable body to concur in said amendments.
Senator DeCheney.
We got members and committees in these.
They're being called. They're being called. We're calling. We're already calling. Okay, fine. Senator Hancock.
Senator Hancock, you recognize your desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I request to move to the inactive file item 112, AB 1573, and file item 113, AB 1574, at the request of the author, which is the Assembly Elections Committee.
Okay. Without objection. Member Senator Steinberg requests permission for a display to be used on the floor. Is any objection? Seeing, hearing none. Request is granted. Members, for a moment, if you could give a hand to all the Boise State representatives here in Sacramento. They are going to periodically coming to the floor. Welcome to the California State Senate. Consent calendar up? Not. Okay. Members, without objection, the following resolutions will be withdrawn from committee and placed on today's special consent calendar. SCR 48, SCR 10, ACR 7, ACR 23, ACR 28, ACR 43, and AJR 1.
SCR 48 is not going to go to special consent.
Okay.
Remove SCR.
We will remove SCR 48 from special consent. Denise. Senator Arpaio, you're recognized at your desk.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'd like to move that we take SB 64, SB 74, and SB 80 up without reference to file.
Without objection. Senator Ducheney, would you like to open on SB 74? Would the clerk please read? Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 74 by the Committee on Budget and Fiscal Review, an act relating to state finances and making an appropriation therefore and declaring the urge thereof to take effect immediately.
Senator Ducheney.
Thank you very much. Mr. President and members, these three bills, let us be clear what they are. They are all related to the current year, 08-09, that ends on Tuesday, and do all things that are precursors and important both to keeping our cash flowing next week, and also they are all precursors to any budget solution that includes revisions to the 9-10 budget. Every version of everybody's possible solutions includes these three elements. The first, SB 74, is the cash deferrals trailer bill. It is only about cash deferrals from this year into the next and from 9-10 to 10-11, but it's all deferrals that assist the controller with the humongous cash flow issue that was identified yesterday that we've all known about for a while. That could lead to the IOUs. This is a major piece of trying to avoid that occurring next week. I'd ask for your aye vote.
Members, is there any debate or discussion on this item? Senator Steinberg's recognized desk. Senator Hollingsworth is recognized at his desk.
I'd be happy to go after the pro tem. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is the second day of this exercise. Yesterday we were here debating an $11 billion fix for a $24 billion problem. Today, we're debating a $5 billion fix for a $24 billion problem. This is a 2-year problem. This is one piece of it. This does not solve the problem. We have to solve the problem, and we have to do it quickly. There is no point to continuing the second day of a political exercise simply for headlines. We are saying to you, it is a $24 billion problem. The governor is saying it is a $24 billion problem. The controller and the treasurer are saying it is a $24 billion problem, and we have to solve it. Trying to parcel this out is not solving the problem. I would ask that we get to the business of fixing this, that we stop the exercise, and let's get down to work of fixing that problem. We've got till June 30th.
Senator Steinberg.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. You know, yesterday, the majority party put forward an $11 billion cut package. Today, we put forward another $4.5 billion piece of the governor's proposal. If I do the math, that adds up to $15.5 billion. Could have passed yesterday's measure, could pass today's measure. Tomorrow, we could pass the next set of measures, and we could get to 24. So to my esteemed colleague, Senator Hollingsworth, it's not either or. And it's certainly not either or when 5 days now before a deadline for IOUs, we have not seen a plan from the minority party that gets us to $24 billion. And I remind you again that you have publicly rejected both the governor's $8 billion in one-time solutions as well as his $1.9 billion local government solution. So you're way short of the governor. And yet you take the position today that you don't want to pass bills that would indisputably avoid the payment of IOUs in just a few days. You don't have to take my word for it or any of my colleagues' words for it. We know yesterday that the State Controller, John Chung, put out a letter in which he said, if there is not some resolution of this budget crisis by June the 30th, I will issue IOUs on July the 2nd. Today, Treasurer Lockyer and Controller Chung put out a second statement, and I think it is important that we read parts of it publicly here on this floor. They both said, there is no need to hold these measures hostage pending a full budget settlement. Their ultimate enactment is inevitable, and quick approval of these payment deferrals and reductions will provide sufficient cash to get us through the current crisis and avoid issuing IOUs starting July 2nd. And here's the real kicker, because we know that all of us, Democrats and Republicans alike, care deeply about stimulating this economy and ensuring that we keep construction and transportation projects moving forward. And so the next paragraph is especially poignant. If the state is forced to issue IOUs instead of paying its bills on time, the consequences will be immediate and long-lasting. It will greatly increase the cost and difficulty of completing essential cash flow borrowing in the next few months. And it will undermine, perhaps for years, California's ability to sell its long-term general obligation bonds. Members, behind me here is just a little chart that illustrates in the most common sense way what it is we are talking about. Controller Chung has indicated that we, absent any corrective action, we have a $3 billion hole effective the end of July. And these solutions provide almost $4.5 billion of cash. And so the choice is clear. Now, Senator Hollingsworth says, let's do all $24 billion. Yes, let's do all $24 billion. Let's do all $24 billion. But as we sit here today, we have some real and significant disagreements with the governor's proposal, and of course, as I pointed out a moment ago, our colleagues on the other side of the aisle don't have a proposal. We have some significant disagreements. And as I said yesterday, we will be here every day working. I look forward to continuing conversations with you, with the governor. But why is it either or? I conclude with this. A few moments ago, I watched Assemblymember Sam Blakesley stand up on the Assembly floor and speak eloquently and with pride about how the State Assembly had come together with near unanimity, 68-0 on one bill, 72-0 on another bill, 54-0 on a third bill. I heard him speak with pride about how this is the way it should operate. This is the way it should go. We should come together, agree where we can agree, and then debate our remaining difference and come to resolutions on those as well. Why can't that happen over here? You have a simple choice. You have the ability today to avoid California businesses, vendors, state employees, county workers, county governments. You have the opportunity today to prevent the people of our state from being subject to IOUs. You have that opportunity. Your Assembly counterparts took that opportunity nearly unanimously. Please do not stand in the way. Governor Schwarzenegger, please reconsider your all or nothing strategy. We told you yesterday, We're willing to try to get to $24 billion. We're not going to do it the way you suggest. We'll sit down and we'll talk through with you how we get there. But in the meantime, don't subject the people of California to unnecessary pain. Urge an aye vote.
Senator Runners, recognizes his desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess let me just kind of answer the rhetorical question, I believe. Why would we stand in the way? It's a very simple answer, and that is we're tired of partial solutions. We have been in this budget exercise for coming back, dealing with this every few weeks, every couple of months, since since a year ago, June. It's time, it is time to take the whole problem and solve the whole problem. That's what this is about. This is about not putting another Band-Aid, not putting a little piece of ribbon on something and trying to get through. This is about taking the whole issue and solving the whole problem. That's what we're looking for. Now, let's deal with some reality of time. Today's Thursday. Okay? Today's Thursday. We have time over the next few days to come up with this whole solution. It's not like all of a sudden today this hasn't happened and there's going to be IOUs on Wednesday. No, we still have more days. In addition to that, let's think carefully about this letter that's just come out. While I appreciate the Treasurer and the Controller looking at this and saying, oh, well, now I won't have to do IOUs. The fact is, they will. Maybe not next Wednesday, but 3 weeks 4 weeks from, they will. This does not solve California's problems with IOUs. This is not the big solution. This is another partial solution. And we will be back here next week, the week after that, just kind of inching our way while California's finances continue to crumble. That's why we want full solution. That's why it's time for us to do this. Now, I can't explain why other people do other things. I can only explain to you why people elected me to this body. And that was in order to see that they are well represented, in order to see that they continue to have a California that they once loved and enjoyed. And that California is disappearing daily right now. We have created an economic dust bowl in California. The fact is, we've all read the books of a few years ago when great economic crisis was happening because of the kinds of things that were happening in the Midwest because of all the climatic issues, and the people were coming to California because of economic drains and climate problems and issues to find hope. And what are we doing now? We have taken the state of California where people were dreaming to. My dad came over here and found his first job here. Brought his young family and came to California in order to make his living here. And what are we doing now? We're watching car and moving van, one after another, leave this state for a dust bowl that we've created by a series of bad economic decisions, overspending, and over-regulations. Now, it's happening lots of places. But you tell me why a place like a large state like Texas, with a very diverse population, a very large population, has half the unemployment rate of California. Why do we have people who are willing to go ahead and say, no, those schools in California were great once, but you know what? I find out they're better in Texas. Let's go there. People are leaving our state because they are losing hope. We need to give hope back to them by creating a California that's vital, that's real, and that's successful. And we don't do it by creating one partial solution after another that never fixes the real problem. We've got days left. Let's fix the real problem, and let's get it done all the way.
Senator Cox recognizes the desk.
Mr. President, members, let me just reiterate something that was said yesterday, and I want to be sure everybody understood the comment. I believe it was Senator Dutton who said, you know, the bus is over the cliff. The bus is over the cliff. Let me say to my colleagues across the aisle, you are driving. It may come as some surprise to you, but you don't let us drive the bus. Now, I've been in the legislature some 10 years, and I've not yet driven the bus. So when you say, what's your plan? Truth of the matter is, it doesn't make any difference. If we had a plan, you wouldn't let us present it. Because if, in fact, we presented you with a plan, and we have on any number of occasions, that says we can't continue to spend more than we take in, it doesn't make any difference what we say. Because we're not driving the bus. What we do have is a situation where the bus is over the cliff, and now what you would like to do is you would like to hand those keys back to us, along with the steering wheel, and saying, okay, it's now your time to drive. What's your plan? Show us what you can do. Now, members, I call to your attention the motto on the Latin on the top of the pillars there. Members, we have a $24 billion problem. Our colleague and leader, Mr. Steinberg, says, well, let's just do part of it. $15.5 billion is about 60% of $24 billion. Members of the Senate, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we've been doing. We've just been doing part of it at a time. We've just been curtailing parts of the expenses. And so as a result, we have a serious problem. But you have driven the bus over the cliff, not us. And you're proposing a 60% solution. Now, you're saying, well, let's get it done today. Let's get it done today. Well, why don't we take time to and fix the entire thing? Why don't we take Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and solve the entire problem? Once again, my friends on the other side of the aisle, you simply want to provide a temporary solution to a permanent kind of problem. $24 billion is our mark, not 15.5, not 11, not $5 billion at one time. It's a situation where we, in fact, need to do it, and we need to do it right. And so I'm appreciative of the fact that my colleague and leader, Mr. Steinberg, wants us to drive the bus. But we didn't drive it over the cliff. Minority parties are not allowed to, in fact, drive the bus. And so I urge my colleagues today, when these three bills are brought up, to vote no. And then to come back on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, if necessary, to solve this problem. Ask for a no vote.
Senator Leno is recognized at his desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, with full respect, your metaphors and your arguments fall flat and they fall short. Let's revisit that which is before us. This is not a partial solution to a $24 billion problem. This is a precondition to that final resolution. And if we do not act today in a bipartisan fashion, we will be losing $3 billion of savings forever. We're talking about 08, 09 here. This is not 9-10. And if we don't act before the end of this fiscal year, $3 billion through our fingertips. So this is no exercise. And 24 Republicans on the Assembly side did not think this was an exercise, because they know the value of $3 billion. So it's important that we come out of whatever dogmatic corner we're in, as the Assembly House did, and do what is best for California. There is no other proposal for which we can vote. Whether you think you should have a plan or not, you don't. You have a statement from your leader that says, it's a sentence long, we have $19 billion in cuts. No articulation, no detail, no nothing. The governor's proposal is not even in bill form. We couldn't vote on it if we wanted to, because our executive branch has not done its job and actually gone to print with a proposal. So we are trying to do our job. We are trying to save the state. Senator Runner, again, with due respect, if you think there's going to be a $24 billion whole piece solution somehow dropped from the heavens in the next 7 days, you're of greater faith than I, because I don't believe it's going to happen. And to the degree that we can chip away at this massive problem, not created by this body, we did our job and we solved $36 billion of deficit just in February. But because of a global financial crisis, and we sure could have a full debate upon who's responsible for it, but because of that crisis, we have now found ourselves $24 billion out of balance, and we're trying to take care of it. It's not a time to point fingers or talk of driving buses and cliffs. It's a time to get real. It's very frustrating. It is enormously frustrating. I know we all care about this state, but we've got a real option here today, and I can't imagine you're going to let it slip through our fingers. I am so proud of the leadership shown by the Republican leader in the Assembly today, and that House could find consensus. It's a real accomplishment. My hat's off to them. I wish and hope, I've not given up hope yet, that we'll do it here today.
Senator Dutton.
You know, members, see, I've been here legislature now for a little over 6 years, I guess. Seems like longer than that. But I do remember the, well, I'll back up a little. Let's talk a little bit about conference committee, because I actually thought that's the reason why I was there, was to try to create a bipartisan solution to these problems. And I wasn't pointing fingers necessarily, but, you know, as far as our treasurer goes, I mean, they and a controller, they did appear, and a couple of quotes made during that, which was recorded in the Sacramento Bee, and this is from Lockyer. It seems to me that the kind of budget we will require before the end of June is almost entirely composed of cuts. And the plan to estimate it was a $24.3 billion deficit is what we were talking about. He also went on to say, my suggestion to you is don't delay the pain. It's going to be awful, but just get it done. It's going to be worse if it doesn't get done. Okay? And that's the problem. This doesn't get it done. I remember talking about what's happened in the other house. That's fine. But I remember the 07-08 budget, and I remember the Assembly decided in their wisdom to pass one out, and of course the Senate Republicans once again were accused of being obstructionists over here in this House, and we just, it wasn't going to work because everybody was telling us that there was a $6 to $7 billion problem. And we got hung up over a lousy little $700 million problem and trying to close it out. And we stayed here for 30 days until the other House finally came back. Well, the fact of the matter is, if we had dealt with that $7 or $8 billion problem back then and started some of the reforms that we should be doing now, we may not be here today. So I don't really care what they did over in the other House. If it's not right, it's not right. And it isn't right. It doesn't fix the problem. This is delayed too long. I spent a lot of time in conference committee because I thought that's what I was there to do. If I would have known this is all we were going to accomplish, I didn't need to waste my time. And neither did my other colleague, Senator Walters. So I want to go on and fix this problem. I'll stay here 24 hours, next week, whatever you want to do. I want to straighten out the rest of these problems. We don't have the time to wait.
Senator Alquist.
Thank you, Mr. President. The reality is we are where we are. That is Thursday, June 25th. And that what we Democrats are trying to accomplish is to have a package, a a very good package that is not a drop in the bucket, but accomplishes 85%, which is what $21.4 billion is compared to $24 billion, accomplishes 85% of fixing the problem. And what I'm hearing from the other side, the analogy is, I'm not going to make my mortgage payment until I can make my electricity payment too. Because we can get 85% of the way there. Not quite 100, but 85%. And I want to make that mortgage payment. I want to be able to stay in my house. And I am befuddled as to my dear colleague's approach. The other point I would like to make is that, one member said, well, we dealt with this in January and in February, and we're just keep dealing with it, and I'm, kind of tired of dealing with it. What we are having to do is what California families are having to do. The situation gets worse and worse for them. Someone loses a job, then they can't make the mortgage payment. Then they can't pay for the health care. So day by day, they're having to go back and revisit the situation. Well, that is what we have done as Democrats. And we do have a plan, and yes, I'm glad we are in the driver's seat. So July 1st comes in 6 days, and I don't see what you're doing, and I think the public will understand that.
Senator Hollingsworth is recognized.
With my apologies to the late president. Well, there you go again. There you go again. And my apologies to Senator Ashburn. Where's your plan? Every year it's the same game. The public is sick of the games. Didn't you get that message on May 19th? They're sick of the games. Where's your plan? I'll tell you. There you go again, talking about we voted against cuts in conference. That's absolutely incorrect. Our conferees voted for more than $17 billion in cuts. But would you allow us to put up our solutions in addition to that? No, you wouldn't let us do that. There you go again. And so you run out the clock. Look at that calendar there. It's June 25th. If you wanted this done by June 30th, what are you doing starting now? What are you doing starting now? You had the chance to do this. And let's be real. Stop the games. Stop fudging the numbers. You want to save $3 billion from this, but you spend more than that in the conference report that you want us to approve. You spend more than that than what we can afford in the conference report you want us to approve. There you go again. I could say that about the fact that every time we have a problem, you want an 85% fix or a 60% fix. There you go again. The public is done with the games. They're done with the showmanship and the gamesmanship of where's your plan. The point is, we have to get it done. We have to fix the problem. Our conferees voted for far more cuts, far more solutions, and they would have voted for a whole lot more if you'd allowed them. So don't come back now and say, where's your plan? And run out the clock to June 25th and say, well, you got to take this or you're running us off the cliff. Sorry for the analogy. I know we're tired of analogies. We've got to stop the games. We've got to fix the problem. And this isn't fixing the problem.
Senator Duchesne, you may close.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. With all due respect, this is not a game. There are real people and all of our constituents who are waiting for these things to happen. Senator Runner talked about why we come here to represent our constituents. My constituents want to see their schools function. They want to see parks. They want their neighbors to have health care. They want roads. I don't understand why we would not want to do that which we came here to do. This is a piece, members, that is, as Senator Leno stated, a precondition to every possible solution that is there for your larger picture solution that you're talking about. There was nothing that prevented members in conference from presenting possibilities and putting them on the agenda. That was not done. Nobody gave us anything, and to the extent they did, we did them. We heard them. Whether we agreed on all of the things or not is different. That's never going to happen, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we heard the governor's proposal. I'm tired of this. The governor says, you have to do this, and should have done it since May. Well, you know, in May, he presented, it took him 3 weeks to get it together enough for us to even know what he thought the May revision looked like. He had 3 different versions of it. Our staff struggled with it for weeks just to get it under control, so we could have a bill and a reasonable discussion in conference. We did that. We organized it. We heard all the proposals, and we adopted probably close to half of them in toto, including what's included in these 3 bills. We adopted that. We have modified some. The framework is the same framework that everybody is saying at this point, it seems, that they want to work on for the so-called total solution. And yes, it may not fix everything. And we've been doing this since January of '08 by my count, not June. And Senator Cox, if we could have had majority vote budgets for the last 5 years, we wouldn't feel like somebody else was driving the bus, but we do. Because we've had opportunities. We put up 22 votes. The Assembly puts up 68 votes. And somehow we're responsible for things not passing, because we haven't been able to read everybody's mind and figure out what it should be. That is not where we are. If people have concrete solutions, we have taken on our job. We took the governor's proposal. We modified it. We changed it. We turned it into real bills that people could vote on. And we've presented that to the public starting the end of last week, or as we got the bills out yesterday. So now that proposal's before us. If that proposal is something people have issues with, then let's define those issues and stop trying to talk like the whole thing has to be thrown out and started all over. If people have genuine issues and genuine things they want to talk about, then they should present those proposals and see if they can find the 27 votes. We're looking for 27 votes. We had 20 plus yesterday. We had a majority who supported one proposal. I don't know where else to go with that except where we are today with the looming cash flow issues of July 1st to say, everybody agrees that these 3 bills are necessary precursors and part of anybody's possible budget solution. Why on earth would we not pass those, have them signed, and enter into whatever dialogue Senator Hollingsworth, Senator Dutton want to have? I don't get it. I ask for your aye vote.
Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Aye. DeCheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Flores?
Aye.
Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye. Mr. President, ayes 24, noes 14.
Members, ayes 24, noes 14. The motion is placed on call. Senator Cheney, next item, Senate Bill 80. Clerk, please read. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 80 by the Committee on Budget and Fiscal Review, an act relating to community redevelopment and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, this bill is a simple clarification to allow something that was done again in the 08-09 budget to occur as was planned by everybody who voted on that budget. It was a $350 million shift in the RDA. The courts found that you could not shift it to the county in which it was, only to the school districts in which the RDA specifically resided within that county. This bill makes that correction and allows $350 million in savings to continue to accrue to the 08-09 budget. Otherwise, again, those savings cannot be realized in 08-09. Members, these are only 08-09 fixes. It does not include, as yesterday's version of this bill did, an additional transfer in 09-10. If that is something people don't agree with and want to continue to discuss, that could be done. This is only curing the issue for the 08-09 budget that is the one we are in today and will close on Tuesday. Ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? Ducheney?
Aye.
Aye. Dutton? No. Flores?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee? Yee, aye.
Ayes 23, noes 14. The measure is placed on call. Senator Ducheney, Senate Bill 64. Would Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 64 by the Committee on Budget and Fiscal Review, an act relating to education finance and making an appropriation therefore and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Members, this bill makes the changes necessary to the 08-09 Budget Act to achieve savings in the current year that allow a couple of things to happen. It revises the 08-09 Budget Act to the current 98 number based on the revenues that we now know are available in 08-09. We now have those numbers as of May, and this revises the 98 number down. It is a direct savings in 08-09 that carries over into the future year because of the way the 98 calculation would be done. If this bill is not passed and signed before the 30th, you lose this $3 billion in savings. Everything that everybody's worked on becomes at risk because we have to recalculate all of the 98. You lose not only the $2 billion from the earlier discussion, but $3 billion. This is 98 guarantee. This is not something anybody wants to vote for, members, because it is, in fact, cutting education. Let's be straightforward about that. But this particular bill, lowering the 98 guarantee, allows us to do a couple of things, and one of them is to make sure the schools get the federal funds from the stimulus money. Will help them carry through this. So it does not cut the schools in a way that is dramatic between now and Thursday like they didn't know it was coming. This, in fact, reduces them to the base 98 guarantee, accumulates savings from 98, gives them some additional flexibilities to allow them to move forward, and most of this money can be made up for with some of the federal funds that have already been allocated to schools. Ask for your aye vote.
Members, debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Benoit? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? No. Denham? No. DeSaulnier? DeCheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Flores?
Aye.
Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? No. Yee.
Please call the absentees.
Correa? DeSaulnier? Maldonado? Romero?
Ayes 21, noes 14. The measure fails. Oh, move a call. So, excuse me, Senator Cheney. We have 3 items on call, members. Members, we're going to lift the calls on Senate Bill 64. Call the absentees.
Correa? DeSaulnier? Maldonado? Romero? Yee.
Ayes 21, noes 14. The measure fails. Senator DeCheney notices reconsideration. Would the Secretary please call the roll for reconsideration?
Okay.
Senator
Onnested? Aye. Alquist?
Yes. Senator DeCheney is requesting an aye vote for reconsideration. Please call the roll.
Okay, so aye. Alquist, aye. Ashburn? Benoit? Calderon? Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? DeCheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Flores?
Aye.
Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Aye. Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Runner? Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee. Yee, aye. Correa, aye. Cox, aye. Ashburn, aye. Benoit, aye. DeSaulnier, aye.
Ayes 34, noes 0. The motion of reconsideration passed. Members, we're going to lift the call on Senate Bill 74. Please call the absentees.
Correa. Maldonado.
Ayes 24, noes 14. The measure fails. We're going to ask for reconsideration. Is there any objection to utilizing the substitute roll call? Ayes 36, noes 0. Reconsideration is granted. Please lift the call on SB 80. Secretary, please call the absentees.
Correa. DeSaulnier. Maldonado.
Ayes 23, noes 14. The measure fails. Any objection to utilizing substitution roll call? Ayes 36, noes 0. Ayes 34, noes 0. The measure is granted reconsideration. Senator Steinberg, those are the measures for today.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We will be back in session tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. To continue with matters relating to the budget revision. Again, I hope that setting aside the substance of today's debate here for a moment, that we can at least look at some of the comedy that was expressed today over in the Assembly and bipartisanship, and that we can work together to get our job done for the people of California well before June the 30th. We'll meet tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Members, Senator Hollingsworth.
A brief Republican caucus in the coffee shop upon adjournment.
Republican caucus.
And we will have a brief Democratic caucus.
And a Democratic caucus. Members, Senator Steinberg has said that the Senate will convene tomorrow at 10 a.m. The Senate is now adjourned. Senator Alquist, I'm sorry.
Yes, Senate Health Committee will convene as soon as Democratic caucus is over in 4203.
Senator Wright.
An announcement that might be a bit premature. The Los Angeles Times is reporting that entertainer Michael Jackson passed away this afternoon after a heart attack. Most of you would know Michael. He came here from Gary, Indiana, as a Motown recording artist with his brothers, the Jackson 5, sang numerous songs, had a number of issues. It's not clear yet that he actually passed away, but that's what's reported. And at this point, we would just wish his family well, and many of you know the Jackson family.
Thank you, Senator Wright. Senator DeSaulnier.
Mr. President, Senate Labor will meet in room 2040 right after caucus.
Okay. Members, any other business to come before the Senate? Seeing, hearing none, the Senate will stand adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow.